So that's what the Samsara Vision does. We do it with a product called the SING-IMT, or smaller incision new generation implantable miniature telescope. It's a 25-minute surgical procedure, and the patient walks out just like a cataract surgery. Short recovery time, and then some time with occupational therapists. They learn how to use the vision, and then patients can generally see 3 to 4 lines better on an eye chart. So if you're watching, you can see the eye chart behind me. You might start at the top of the eye chart, and after implantation, you can see things 4 lines deeper. And we've proven to be 2 times more effective at reading acuity, meaning the person can read things on a page 2 times better.
Tom, thank you so much for coming on the show. You are the CEO, president of Samsara Vision, an incredible company. I was talking to you before we came on air here. I've been spending a lot of time reading about you and reading about your company this morning. Man, it's pretty incredible. How did you get to where you are now? How did you get to become the CEO of Samsara Vision?
Yeah, thank you, Clint. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about what the company's doing and just a little bit about me. Yeah, I've spent my entire career in ophthalmology and optometry and eye business, so to speak, and much of my career with the big companies, 15 years with a company called Alcon, which is the biggest in the surgical realm, and then everybody knows Johnson and Johnson, where I spent 5 years. During my time at J&J, I had the opportunity as a sort of team member in business development to meet a company that had an up and coming product for age-related macular degeneration. And I saw the company's profile and got to meet with the CEO and some of the investors, and in an M&A opportunity for J&J. But really loved the mission statement. I loved what the product could do. And when I got a call from a recruiter and from the board of directors asking me, did I have an interest in joining the company as CEO? It was a no-brainer for me. This company can deliver on improved lives for people in need. And that's a really important thing for me in my career to do that. So I came on Samsara now 4 years ago after spending quite a few years in bigger companies, but been leading this company ever since.
I think it'd be good to kind of go deep for those who don't know what Samsara Vision is, like what you do, what you focus on, and kind of the role you play in the vision world.
Sure, it's a medical device technology company out of Israel. It's an implantable miniature telescope. So it's a true Galilean telescope, miniaturized for implantation into the eye for patients with age-related macular degeneration. Now, these patients have made it through their lives and sort of at the end of the disease cycle where they've lost a significant amount of vision. They're considered legally blind. It's more of a central blindness. So they lose the ability to see someone's face that they're speaking with, or read a book, or watch television, or any central visual tasking. So all they have left is their peripheral vision. And this Galilean telescope can be implanted, and then the patient can regain that central vision. One eye will be the implanted eye, and that eye will do central tasking, while the fellow eye will still do peripheral tasking. And the brain learns how to meld both images together and give the person a full field of view using 2 eyes for different tasks. So that's what the Samsara Vision does. We do it with a product called the SING-IMT, or smaller incision new generation implantable miniature telescope. It's a 25-minute surgical procedure, and the patient walks out just like a cataract surgery. Short recovery time, and then some time with occupational therapists. They learn how to use the vision, and then patients can generally see 3 to 4 lines better on an eye chart. So if you're watching, you can see the eye chart behind me. You might start at the top of the eye chart, and after implantation, you can see things 4 lines deeper. And we've proven to be 2 times more effective at reading acuity, meaning the person can read things on a page 2 times better, and 2 times improved reading speed. So functional vision improvements come along with this too. It's really a remarkable device.
What was this that you launched? Are you talking about this procedure you launched in China, this SING-IMT that you did in July?
Yep, the
How
SING-IMT
did that
is
come
a
around? How did that come about?
yeah, it's a device that is then I can show a little graphic for the watchers, and then if you're listening, you can't quite see it, but here's a larger version of what this is. But it's four foldable haptics, and this gets implanted during a cataract surgery. It came about three guys in Israel, one optics specialist, and a couple of engineers that thought that the vision would work with a Galilean telescope, and then just the process of miniaturizing it for implantation was the challenge. The first time around, the first generation technology was optimized for vision, but not for the day of surgery. So the surgical procedure took quite a bit of time. It took an expert surgeon, and it required a long recovery period for the patients. But this smaller incision version is now can be done by any cataract surgeon in the any surgeon that does cataract surgeries in the world, and is miniaturized so that the procedure can take only 25 minutes and the patient can bounce back within 1 to 3 days.
It's pretty remarkable, actually. Like that's kind of wild. It's like magic. Like the best technology is magic, and what you just described to me feels like almost magic. When I saw you hold
Yeah.
that up, that device, I thought about, and people may see this device and they're like, oh, that's cool. I just thought about the amount of hours and years and time and talent and various prototypes that you had to go through in order. I don't think people realize like a device, and you probably have even regulations and various things you've got to go through. Like what all went into, and how long did it take to get that device that you just showed us?
I mean, we're on year 24 for this type of for the optic for the center of the device. But for if we were starting today with a new technology and medical device from idea to market, it's 10 to 15 years. The SING-IMT is a second generation of an original implantable miniature telescope, and that was not effective because the day of surgery was a little more challenging. So the 24 years sort of is two times for us, or sort of innovation to market over two times. It's about 10 years to 12 years, I think, is a proper life cycle. In medical device, generally Europe is a faster approval process. The regulatory process is different in Europe than it is in the United States. So you can get to market earlier in Europe, but the United States is a little more speedy on reimbursement. Where you have to go country to country in Europe, bringing your argument to each government and getting the clinical trials necessary to get reimbursement in each place. That takes a long time. So getting paid for your technology in Europe takes a little longer than in the U.S., where for med tech that addresses aging population, it's usually Medicare is the biggest hurdle, and then once you've cleared that, private insurance is a little bit easier.
Yeah, that actually is really fascinating. I wouldn't have thought that Europe would be easier to go to
In
market, but
pharmaceutical, it's not. So in drug development, it's the opposite. But in medical device, it's a little easier. It's faster, not easier, but
yeah,
faster. Yeah.
interesting. So, what does it take to? So, if it takes 10 to 12 years for those listening, like how do you survive those 10 to 12 years? I assume you're taking a good amount of VC and capitalizing it from that perspective. But tell us, like, if somebody wanted to, listening is like, hey, I want to start a medical device company. What do you got to do in order to get through those 10 to 12 years?
Yeah, particularly if you're a founder. I think founders, you have to realize what you do well and what talent you need to go out and outsource. So if you're a founder and you're an engineer and you've got a great idea, I think you need to know that the faster you surround yourself with good business people that know regulatory, particularly regulatory, and can get your product to market as fast as possible, that's a key. So I joined 4 years ago, like I'm saying, but I'm sort of that expert in commercial and regulatory and reimbursement. So, I'm not a founder of the company I had joined. We still had one of the founders on when I joined, but his expertise was in the tech, and my expertise was how to get it to market. Now, the secret sauce would be get early capitalization, but go out and hire somebody that knows the roadmap to get the thing to market as quick as you can. You might say, well, that's a big expense, and yeah, time this is the big, and I think this will recur as we talk more and more in this. Everybody looks at startups as money, like how much money can you raise, which is all very important. But everybody forgets that time and money is probably a bigger part of the equation than money. So sometimes you spend a little bit early. If you get the right people on board, if you can speed things up by a year, you reduce the amount of total investment necessary by one full year of burn. So any time you're spending a little to save a little long run is usually good. If you've got it right, if you got the formula right, it's usually a good idea to get the right people on board early.
What does a typical day look like for you as the CEO?
Me, I'm a unique person because in addition to being a CEO, I'm an Ironman triathlete. So my day starts at 4:17 a.m. every day, usually without an alarm. So usually I beat that by a couple minutes. I'm up and at 'em, and my first hour and a half goes in global business, and our manufacturing facility is in Israel. Like you mentioned, we've got new business in China, and we've got Europe. That really is the heart and soul of what we're doing today. So my first hour and a half, I'm engaging Europe, Israel, and China, as the U.S. is still, way far behind on the clock. Then it's 2 hours of training, usually every day for me, getting my oxygenation right. I like to enter work at full stride, so to speak. So get through the training part of my day, and then I get in the office about 8 o'clock, 8:30, and it's early calls and getting the pressing issues of the day done before lunchtime, and then I spend most of the afternoon. If on a perfect day, I could spend the afternoon with strategy, recruiting, things like this, and I'm usually done by with calls and things by 5:30, 6 o'clock, and then some family time. I wind down really early. I hit the rack at 8 o'clock, and at 8:30, I'm kind of out, and then the next day starts. And there's not much difference between a Monday and a Friday and a Saturday to me. I like to replay the same day over and over.
That makes a lot of sense. I imagine you'd have to, given what you do. That's incredible. How long have you been doing that, the Ironman stuff?
I started my first Ironman was 2014. That was my first full Ironman. I think I started triathlon 2011 with an Olympic distance, which I had a road bike. I see some pictures of that, and I want to laugh at myself. It was the worst performance ever, but I think I kind of got the bug. I was a college football player, a bodybuilder, power lifter, marathoner, and then you just naturally I haven't climbed Everest yet, but I bumped into Ironman, triathlon in 2014, my first one, and I've done 6 full distance Ironmans, 11 half Ironmans, and I've qualified for and did Kona a couple years ago, 2022, and just qualified again for World Championships this year. After I spent 3 months, I had a spine infection this year, so I had to recover from the spine infection, get back out there, and was able to qualify again this year.
That's incredible. Congratulations.
Well,
That's
thank you. Yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, what, how has what's happening in Gaza and Israel affecting your business, given that this is an Israel-based company?
Yeah, I mean, it's sad. We had a couple people deployed, which has been a challenge, checking in with them as much as we can. One thing that's kind of remarkable is my deployed folks. I'm able to kind of stay in communication, which first time experiencing something like that. I didn't realize. We have an employee that comes back and forth between military service and the office, and I'm able to stay in touch during both times. I mean, it's great how communication has improved that. But I'm worried for my people. They live in and around the Tel Aviv area, and every day is sirens. And I've got a friend that I've made. Not She doesn't work for us, but I've made through business, and she's competing in a marathon. Forgetting where it is. I think it's in Florence. But she's I think the second or third fastest marathon distance woman in Israel today, and she's training for this marathon. She's got young kids at home, a husband as well, and she's doing like runs just 1 mile back and forth in front of her house. So just in case the sirens happen, you got to be ready to get your family prepared. I mean, I think what it's done for me as a leader is to increase the amount of empathy that I have for not only for my team, but just for the people that are living there, them, their families. I'm constantly worried, waking up every morning, seeing news. If there's news, I'm texting and trying to find out, is everybody okay? How are you doing emotionally? I lead off every meeting with, a little bit of a chat about mental health. And, it's just something that I think leaders need to be aware of. But I think what's gotten me is, this is such a part of their life that it's obvious, but even as a leader, you don't know what's going on in everybody's life every day. I think we need to learn maybe to be a little bit more empathetic. We're such a mission and driving so hard to get the business right that's sometimes we can lead off with our priorities, but I think this experience has taught us all that we're all part of one big world.
Yeah, and I think during COVID we learned, like, in particular, like, man, a lot of people are struggling with mental health. Particularly as, like, it went like kind of full remote, and now we're kind of like remote hybrid, whatever it is, right? And how do you think about that as the leader? I mean, you just mentioned, like, hey, this is something we do, but what are some of the things that you've put in place to kind of like help your employees with their mental health?
Hmm. I don't think I've formally put anything in place. I think I like to lead by example in terms of exercise. I think everybody wants to talk about SSRIs and every new medicine that could come out that help mental health, and those are all very important tools. But the value of getting up early in the morning, exercising, getting your sleep right, getting the right vitamin and mineral supplementation, all of those things. Are critical for mental health too. So I try to lead by example. We had a couple of meetings last year in Europe where instead of doing late nights in the bar, I encouraged let's have a running group that meets every morning, goes out in Berlin, and I think I got 3 volunteers. That's okay, it's a start. But I try to live and encourage people to do those things, eat right and exercise, because I think those are the building blocks for a strong biopsychosocial approach to your life. And so I think that would be one thing I've done. I think I also do a lot of one-on-ones where, I do the big meetings, of course, but I'm often texting and talking to people one-on-one. I'm asking them how they're doing and following up. So nothing's worse than a boss that asks you about your situation. You tell them your situation and they forget your situation. That's the worst in the world. But I try to genuinely follow up on people's personal items that they share with me, and I think that way of connecting allows me to tell them how much I care about them.
Yeah, that's super interesting. It does seem like it has to be something led by example. It doesn't seem like there's any sort of silver bullet in that particular area that works
I think
over
people
and
try to put programs on it. It's like we training class a million years ago in business. They talked about technical adaptations and adaptations that are more smooth in nature. I just think some of that, like some leadership, is you can't put a program in place. Like you need to just live the life a certain way, and things take care of themselves.
yeah, yeah, for sure. How are you thinking about AI, and how is that going to affect Samsara Vision?
Yeah, I think it's going to affect the way we do the business we do. I don't think it'll affect our technology as much. I think, but we'll be able to get to patients easier. I think we're interviewing companies that are doing great things in terms of outreach. Our patient base today is one that's been what's called lost to follow. It's a patient base that has gone to the doctor. The doctor's told them that there's not a lot that they can do to improve their vision. There's been other products that have come out that have not improved their vision. So our patients are sitting at home and they're blind and they've been told there's nothing for them. So how do you get out to a lost to follow population? And we've seen that with pharmaceutical companies. They've done television commercials, but for us, that's not a good approach. It's not a wise spend. Reaching our audience is difficult through television. So AI has given programs that enable surgeons and doctors to read their electronic medical records and find the right candidates, to look through social media platforms to find people who have been interested or clicked on links for age-related macular degeneration or vision enhancement in AMD, and find those people where they are and let them know there's a new technology out there. I think that's the way. Connecting with people will be the way AI changes our business. That's sort of opposite. Everybody's talking about how AI is minimizing the getting to the people and the human touch. I think for us, we'll be able to communicate with more people because of AI, which I think is positive. But for our technology, Not much. I think we've got an Occam's razor style technology. It's sort of the simplest solution. So I don't think AI will enhance the device itself. Everything around the device will be enhanced with AI.
Yeah, it's really interesting. That really is a reverse from most. Like that, it actually helps you get more connected
Yeah.
with your customer,
Yes.
which is incredible. What do
Because
you
our
read?
customer is disconnected, which is
Yeah,
sad,
yeah,
right? They've
yeah, yeah, yeah,
disconnected
yeah.
because of their handicap. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you read? What reading recommendations would you have for us?
Oh, I like I sort of like classics. I'm not. I'm a big podcast guy now. I think the election made everyone's listening to podcasts now. I've always been a podcast person. I think Rich Roll has always been one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, he's
Rogan,
great.
of course, depending on the guest, but I love Rogan as well. Dateline. I think I've listened to every Dateline. It's sort of mental candy for me while I'm traveling or something. But East of Eden was one of my favorite books, and and 1984, I just read it for the third time, and listened to books, so audio books. So yeah, I think for me, it's not. I don't read much on business subject matter, believe it or not. I like to do big thinking through books, and for me, it's fiction. That The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, that
Yeah,
series was one of my favorites too. I've listened through that twice. Yeah, so that's me, more of a fiction guy.
perfect timing on Orwell in 1984.
Oh my gosh. And three times now I've listened to it, and each time more and more of it has different parts of it, but it's unbelievable the vision that guy had. I think it was like 1949 or 45 or somewhere in that time
Yeah.
frame where he wrote the book. And yeah, I mean, he was off by 40 years, but man, pretty damn close. Pretty remarkable.
It is pretty incredible. How do you think about recruiting as a like? How do you think about getting the top talent to your company and what it takes in order to do that?
Yeah, for me, this company in particular, I think you need to have, of course, depends on the role, but I like to use a benchmark of finding people that have a connection to the patient. So if my people all have a passion for the patients that we're working on behalf of, then I'm comfortable that we've got the right team. Without the patients, there's no mission, and our patients are uniquely visually impaired, and that kind of patient, it takes a lot of patience for the people that are working in the company. And if you don't have that, if your North Star is not improving the lives of the people that we serve, then this is not the company for you. Then you should look for a company that has your value set. But for me, if you're not waking up in the morning kicking and screaming to try to make someone's life better, and by the end of the day, if we haven't made at least one person's life better, this is not a day well spent. So if you have that mindset, then I'm willing to listen and see why you should join. And I like to pick people first and then find roles. And I do a lot of interviews for roles that aren't open. And if I find talent and passion and enthusiasm for the business, I've plugged people in where we've not had open roles in the past, because talent is everything in our business.
Yeah, you mentioned the election, and I'm not. We're not going to go into like the politics of that, but now we do have some certainty into kind of the way things are going to look in 2025. You see the way the market is reacting; like they just want certainty, right? They don't want
Yeah.
to not understand things. So as you go into 2025, how do you think we're looking from a
Well,
financial
in terms
standpoint?
of,
Yeah,
yeah, medical device, it's interesting. I was reading an article the other day about investment in med tech. So there's a fixed amount of investment dollars that come into the market. I think it looks as if there's next year is going to be a good year for M&A and private equity and venture investments. So those of us who are in businesses that are in growth mode or startup mode, I think there's going to be money out there for companies that are innovating, which is good. Where is that money going to go? I think is the question that investors, especially healthcare investors, thinking about right now. And I was reading an article about uncertainties in the pharmaceutical industry based on some of the promises that this incoming administration has in changing the FDA and changing the way maybe pharmaceuticals are advertised, and maybe some pressure on pharma. But we hear that like every 4 years, it seems like we hear that same kind of pressure coming to pharma businesses. And I don't find that to, maybe that hasn't always come out, but I think medical device not being in that pharma sphere, it may be a great year if you have medical technology, medical device, particularly in applications or software that benefits patients. Those are going to be investment opportunities. So I do think that we'll see an influx of capital. Where that capital goes is going to be interesting in the next 4 years, but I think that's sort of all up in the air. Always in the case in our industry, if you're helping people and people are benefiting from the technology that you bring, and you've got a good story and you can tell your story, somebody's going to fund it if it's going to make a difference in the lives of people. So whether that's pharmaceutical, med tech, or software related to health tech, I think good ideas get funded.
Yeah. How do you think about leadership? What leadership lessons have you learned over the years?
Yeah, I guess like we were kind of talking about it earlier. Empathy is one thing I never would ask. It's the generals, right? This did come up in the election a little bit. I don't think it was, it was one of those off-color comments that were misinterpreted. But as a general, are you willing to stand out there and on the front lines? And for me, a leader, the people I always respected were people that had experience, but were in the fight and that kind of thing. And I am that kind of leader. And control oriented, no. Man, people, that's how you can interpret it. Micromanager, I don't mind. I'll wear that T-shirt all day long. But for me, I want to be in the OR where the patients are being. Where the surgery is happening. I want to meet the surgeons. I want to be in every country we've ever had a surgery. I think we've treated 400 patients or somewhere near that. I think probably I've been in about 25% of the surgical cases, because like if I'm on my calendar, if I have a few meetings but there's a surgery going on and I can get there, I'd rather be in the operating room with the surgeon. And so I think leadership, empathy, like we talked about, so knowing that everybody's carrying something with them every day, and connecting with people on that heart level is super important. But then also being willing to be on the front lines and be in the business with the folks is I think that's my definition of leadership. It's kind of always what I wanted to see from people leading me, whether that was a coach or a boss or a teacher. I wanted to know that they felt emotionally for me, that they would give me feedback, that they would give their children or a good friend, and then also that they were in the fight with me, like they felt like they were elbow to elbow with me.
Finally, we end every interview with the same question, and that is at CEO.com. We believe the chances one gives is just as important as the chances one takes. When you hear that, who gave you a chance to get you to where you are today?
Oh, so many people. Geez. Well, I'll give you a good story. And this is from very, very early in my career. It was a guy I talked to today. So one of my early friends, I've known him for 25 years. I talked to him today. He's a CEO of Dermavant. They just sold their business, but nice exit for the team, and he did a great job. But Todd Zavodnik, he was a sales rep at a company called Alcon. I was his personal trainer. I was actually getting ready to go to physical therapy school. He took a chance on me, telling me to come join this company, Alcon, and actually backfill him as a sales rep. I did that and jumped into the healthcare business in the year 2000 as a sales rep with Alcon, and that initial opportunity, should have been all that Todd ever needed to give me. But weekly, monthly, staying in touch constantly. Now, it's 25 years later, and we still talk on a daily, monthly, weekly basis, whether it be just a joke on text message or a call. And today was just a subject that I just asked him a simple question. He called me. We talked for 10 minutes. So I would say he's the one that got me into this industry. If not for him, I'm probably treating patients somewhere right now as a PT. But it's been a great road since then. But there's so many others along the way that I'm fortunate that I've had some great leaders and mentors. I've learned what not to do from a lot of people too, but maybe that's for another podcast. I've definitely had great role models.
Tom, thank you so much for coming on. Congratulations on everything you're doing. Congratulations on the product, the SING-IMT. That is incredible. Well done. What an accomplishment. And I'm sure we'll have you back on as you go down your journey. So really appreciate it.
Thank you, Clint. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks, Tom. See ya.